And good afternoon. Welcome to Futsal868 Corner Talks on this beautiful Sunday evening. As usual, at 4 p.m., you could catch me on your Facebook or YouTube channel. My name is Geoffrey Edwards for those who are joining us for the first time. And I'm your host, as well as the president of the Futsal Association of Trinidad Tobago. Futsal868 Corner Talks is an online meetup series where global sporting professionals share their experiences and perspectives on the fastest growing indoor sport in the world, futsal. Additionally, we speak to and about social topics related to sports and the sporting industry. Our hope is that this platform will sensitize and educate stakeholders whilst we sustainably grow the sport in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean region. As with the month of September, we continue to speak Futsal Caribe Africa. And in this episode 23, we head to the beautiful country of Botswana. And for those who do not know anything about Botswana, don't worry. We at Futsal868 Corner Talks are going to assist you to get a little bit more knowledge on the country of Botswana before we introduce our guest. So take a quick look at all things Botswana.
8 things you didn't know about Botswana. Today you're gonna find out about some incredible records Botswana holds. But first, the basics. With a little over 2 million people, Botswana is one of the world's most sparsely populated nations. Botswana's capital is Gaborone with a population of over 200,000 people. Most Botswana speak Setswana, although the official language is English. And yes, people from Botswana are called Botswana, of which the singular is Motswana. You may or may not have known what I just said, but I doubt you know what I'm about to say. Number 8. The Akavanga Delta in Botswana is the largest inland delta on the planet. Its staggering 18,000 square kilometers expanse of lagoons, meandering channels, and fertile islands overflowing with wildlife. The Okavango Delta in Botswana's Kalahari Desert is the largest inland delta on the planet. Its waters never get to the sea, as they are soaked up by salt pans. Okavango is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most amazing wildlife watching destinations on the earth. Number 7. Here you will find the world's biggest concentration of African elephants. Botswana is the country with the world's largest remaining elephant population. Biggest concentration can be found in Chobe National Park, a majestic 11 square kilometers wildlife sanctuary in northern Botswana. Number 6. Botswana is the best country to get up close to meerkats because there are more meerkats in Botswana than in any other country on earth. Teeming with meerkats, the Kalahari Desert in Botswana is the best place in the world to observe, photograph, and learn about these adorable friendly creatures. Number 5. Speaking of the Kalahari Desert, the Kalahari Desert in Botswana is the largest stretch of wind-blown sand on the earth. Spreading over 100 square kilometers, the Kalahari Desert covers almost 80% of Botswana. Nevertheless, with its seasonal wetlands, significant rainfall, and surprising variety of animals and plants, Kalahari is not a desert in the true sense of the word, but a huge sandy savanna rich in wildlife and unique flora. This region is home to several game reserves, including the second largest one in the world, Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Number 4. Botswana is the world's number 1 diamond producing country in terms of value. In the Naledi River Valley in southern Botswana is the richest diamond mine in the world. With a current production of 12.5 million to 50 million carats per year, the high quality of rough diamonds produced here is outstanding, which is why this industry plays a major role in driving the country's economy. Number 3. Its bizarre language of Setswana. Some interesting facts about Botswana's language include the word lekgoa, translated more or less as foreigner, originally meant spit from the sea. As also, the pula, the national currency in Setswana language, also means rain, perhaps because the abundance of both involves wealth and prosperity. Botswana is a plural term that indicates the inhabitants of Botswana, while the singular is Motswana. Number 2. Botswana and Zambia share the smallest land border in the world at only 150 meters. The boundary between Botswana and Zambia is by far the shortest land border in the world. And finally, number 1. You'll find the largest network of salt pans in the world in Botswana. Covering an area bigger than Switzerland, Makiti Gadai is the largest network of salt pans in the world. Vestiges of an enormous Asian lake, the pans stretch out over 12,000 km squared in the southeast of the Okavango Delta, and during the wet season, become home to large flocks of flamingos and one of Africa's biggest zebra populations. Interesting, isn't it? And that's it for today. If you believe more people should hear this, feel free to share this video to friends and family. Or know something that's missing in my video? Drop your review in the comment box below.
Well, I definitely think it's very interesting. It's because of the fact that my brother, the guest for this evening's shows, hails from Botswana. So let us take this opportunity to welcome, and I'm definitely going to be taking a trip to Botswana. Probably may try to see if I get a diamond, for that lucky lady. Let's see how that goes. But with me this evening will be Thabo, and I want to welcome my brother Thabo. How are you, sir? Did we do a good enough job about Botswana with that, Thabo? Are you hearing me, Thabo?
Did you do what, Jeff? I think my connection is not. Yes, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So my question was, did I do? Did the do a good job as regards to introducing Botswana?
Unfortunately, I couldn't see the introduction, but I know that you will have a very good introduction. I think maybe there's a problem with my connection this side. But I believe, because what you told me a few weeks ago about what you know about Botswana, I believe that the whatever you showed represented Botswana very well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And just to take some time for our viewers, we just want to show a bit about who you are, Thabo, so that persons can understand who you are. You have 20 years experience in the field of sport administration. You rose from the position of Sports Development Officer at Botswana National Sports Council to the position of Chief Executive Officer at the Botswana Football Association, and later Chief Executive Officer at Botswana Premier League. You are currently the Managing Director of Stylistics Sportainment, a sport consultancy company that you founded in 2008. Through this company, one of the things that you are advocating is the promotion of the game of futsal in Botswana. So with that being said, tell us, who is Thabo? And Thabo, I am not even going to try to pronounce your last name. So for the sake of our viewers, can you please pronounce your last name? And the floor is yours to tell us more about yourself, please.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you very much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. We met because we are both FIFA alumni members. So I'm very grateful that we have been able to create such kind of connection. Because, as you know, the FIFA Masters is such an exceptional course, especially the alumni movement, where you get to know people and you get to know even those who are not in your edition. So I'm very thankful that you saw it necessary to connect with me, and then we have discussed over the past few weeks. We've been discussing the issue of futsal. But before we get to futsal, let me just say, my profile that you just read out there, that is very true. But in all honesty, I would say probably I may have been in sport much longer, because my journey with sport started when I was still a player. I didn't play at high level. I didn't play at the top level. But when I was at the university, I was able to get compete in the first lineup of the university team. And I played with big guys who were playing in the Super League. So that's how I got to love football. I was playing in the towns. I was just playing for a team that was not known that much. It was just known in that town or in that village. It wasn't big. But when I got to university, I started rubbing shoulders with these guys who were playing football at top level. So I said, oh no, I can play football. And my interest in football grew in leaps and bounds. After I finished at the university, then I went to teach for 2 years. And during those 2 years, I was a coach of a school team. I taught at a secondary school called Lobatsi Secondary School. And I was able to coach the team, the football team there when I was a teacher. And fortunately for me, again, to prove that this football is not just in my blood, maybe it's in my head as well, I was able to take my teams to the national finals. Although we didn't win, we became runners up, which was a very good thing. So those are the years that I didn't include in my CV. So you may see that I may have been in sport longer than I have on my profile, on my LinkedIn profile, on the profile that you have in front of you. But speaking to that profile now that you just gave out, I started at the sports council because, as I told you, I started as a teacher at a secondary school for 2 years, and then I quit. I joined some organization, some government organization under the office of the president, just for 8 months, and then I quit until I found a job at sport, and that's where my journey starts from. And that's why I love sport, because almost the entire of my working career I have been in sport. So I started at Botswana National Sports Council, which is currently called now Botswana National Sports Commission. I worked there from a position of development officer, and I rose to the rank of a senior sports development officer. When I was still a senior development sports officer, then luckily my organization decided that they would take me for further training, and that's why I ended up enrolling into the FIFA Master. After the FIFA Master, I didn't go back to my former employees because there was a job was advertised when I was on my last month in Neuchâtel. I was able to apply for that job. I was interviewed when I was in Neuchâtel for the job of the Secretary General of the Football Association. I was lucky. I was appointed immediately, and when I arrived in Botswana, immediately I started working for the Football Association. For 3 years, I was at the helm of the Football Association in Botswana. Then after that, I think in 2000 and towards the end of 2008, immediately when I finished my contract at Botswana Football Association, I was recalled by the Botswana National Sports Commission because they were starting a program
I think that Thabo will have frozen for a bit. So whilst it is that as this happens with live television,
speaking.
we'll take a quick and here he is. He's back. Thabo, are you hearing us?
Yes. Did you hear me? Did you hear where did you hear me up to where I was?
You froze a bit as you returned. You was mentioning as you returned from Neuchâtel to Botswana, you hit the ground running immediately.
Yeah, I hit the ground running immediately, and I spent 3 years at the Botswana Football Association as the Secretary General. Sometimes when we are there, we tend to want to be called CEOs when we are there, but I think FIFA and the FAs, they insist that it should be the Secretary General. So I was the Secretary General for 3 years until I was at the end of my contract. Then I went back to my former employer, who sent me to the FIFA Master to help them pilot a project called Botswana Games. Botswana Games is a program right now, because I think it's now in its 5th year or so, where every sport has to pick up the best athletes from all the regions, and then a week is selected where they can go and play all their sports, from netball to basketball to football, any other sport that you can start, track and field, they do them. So that was the rule. So I was the coordinator. I became the coordinator of those pilot games. And ever since then, the games have been played. As I said, I think they're in their 5th year or 7th year, if I'm not mistaken. Then once the games finished, I started my own company, Stylistic Sportainment, where I am working currently. But during the course of that process as well, in 2016, I think the Football Association were going through some challenges, some problems, and they asked me if I could join them. I said yes, no, I could join them, because the Secretary General at the FA, fortunately, was my boss at the Sports Commission, so he knew me. So they recruited me at the Football Association for me to go and help him, because there was a problem at the Premier League. I acted at the Premier League for a full year before they could appoint me as a full CEO at the Premier League in 2017 until 2019. Then I came back again to my company, Stylistic Sportainment. It is as Stylistic Sportainment where I started. I got in love with the game of futsal. I started to realize that there was no futsal in Botswana, and this is a game that will improve the work rate of the players, the thinking of a player. And I said, why can't we do it? Because the Football Association was just focused on 11-a-side football. So I said I could do it. And then I spoke to one gentleman in South Africa to assist me to acquire the sport court where we could play. Luckily, he assisted me, and I'm still thankful to him and Mr. Joe Combs. And we started the game of futsal. But the only problem is that I think the Football Association, because I kept on knocking at their doors for many weeks to say, look, you don't have a game of futsal. I got this material. I can organize people. Can you help me? Maybe we can get coaches. FIFA can send coaches here so that they can help you. At the end of the day, you are going to benefit from this program. And I was speaking to the technical director then, and I kept on speaking to other officers at the technical office of the Football Association, but I didn't get the assistance that I was looking for. And I remember also reaching out to Kazra, who is also an alumni of the FIFA Master. Kazra said, no, you see, we can help you, but we can only help you if it comes through your Football Association. But even up to now, it hasn't started. I think I'm just trying. I'll keep on trying. I'll not give up. So that is my journey with futsal and with sport and futsal.
For the sake of our viewers and our listening audience, as well as we will be putting this on audio afterwards, can you tell persons who is Kazra and the position he holds presently at the FIFA?
I think Kazra, he would excuse me if I've forgotten his position, but Kazra works for FIFA as a futsal manager. I think is the futsal director or manager. But so sorry, Kazra, if I've not.
Yes, you are correct. Kazra is the head of beach soccer and futsal competitions and also development. So for those who are listening to us, he is a FIFA Master alumni who is responsible for the global development of the sport of futsal and beach soccer for under FIFA. So just want to make that quite clear for our viewers who are listening. So you can continue, Thabo.
Yeah, no, that was the journey that I wanted to take you up to say. up to now I'm back at my company. I'm trying to do anything and everything about a sport. But in the part of the package or part of the things that I do at Stylistics, it's futsal. And I would be very glad to see futsal rising up in Botswana. I have spoken to a few people who will try to help me, including you, Jeff, because we've been talking about how the Caribbean and Africa can work together. We are speaking to other people because even in Africa, it's not only in Botswana that we are finding it difficult for associations to play a game of futsal. I think there's something that we need to do because if my learning of futsal is that most of the players, especially those that come from South America, they had gone through futsal before they went into 11-a-side kind of football. And you can see the skill that they have. And it is only through futsal that they develop that skill, quick thinking, passing within short spaces, etc., etc. Yeah.
Thabo, it's very interesting that you mentioned that because in doing some research as regards to the Botswana Football Association, I'm going to put up a graphic of it on the screen.
Yeah.
The Botswana, I just want to take some time to, the Botswana Football Association, also known as the national team, is known as part of the Zebras. You all
Yeah.
are ranked 148 in the
Yeah.
in the latest FIFA Coca-Cola standings.
Mm.
What are your thoughts as regards to how would futsal help build your footballing capacity as well as to move you all up that the FIFA Coca-Cola World Football Rankings?
Well, I think because futsal is it's in other countries, I think is taken as development. And if the football association, our football association, gets serious with it, they will then target young guys at school level, at primary and even secondary school level. And if you get that kind of development where you improve the confidence, the handling of football when they play, when these kids play, then I believe once they reach the stage where now they have to compete at international level, we'll have better players who would have developed, would have been given better skill set by the game of futsal. At the moment, I think we only depend on 11 aside, where some of the kids are thrown out of that competition before they even reach development side. Because when I learned again about how sports develop, there are late bloomers in every sport. So if you leave out the late bloomers, then that is going to also have an impact on how you perform worldwide. I will give you an example. In 2012, Botswana was able to reach the Africa Cup of Nations for the very first time. And I think we've been struggling all along because during the time, the guys who were in the 2012 team were the guys who were developed at a very young age. And the tracking, there was a good tracking on how they perform, and they played a lot of games together and they got to know each other. That is why they ended up going to the Africa Cup of Nations. But I think also, had they also, most of them, played the game of futsal, I think they could have maybe played in the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations because the skill set would just have been different. Yeah.
What has been the government of Botswana's take on the sport of futsal? Because I'm just going to show again the images of your court on top of a corporate building in Botswana, and I must congratulate you on this great achievement, Thabo. But what has been with having such a feat? What has been the government's response to your single investment in the sport of futsal?
I think the government really depends on the associations to assist those who maybe want to be, as I mentioned earlier, I said we as entrepreneurs or some companies that would want to do a sport on a private sector level, it is upon the mother bodies of or the associations or the federations which should help or which should have processes in place and policies in place of how they are going to assist those who want to help them also, because we are not only doing it for ourselves. At the end of the day, whatever benefit we will get, the Football Association will also get it. So I think government really doesn't want to get involved directly with even the private sector. What they will do is that they assist federations or associations to say, can you move the game, your sport discipline to this level so that we can achieve better results. But if they don't do it, I think the government also doesn't say anything to say. Do you know that there's somebody like Thabo who was a stylistic sportainment company which is trying to do this? It only depends on what they get from the federation and not from me as an individual or as an owner of the company.
With that being said, let's take our viewers to your venue where Stylistic Sportainment showcases futsal to the young persons.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thabo, explain to us what was going on there and tell us a little more as regards to your court and how does it work?
Yeah, very interesting there. You see, because when I after acquiring that court, I didn't have a team or I didn't have any players who could come and play at the court. What I did was I found some guys who were already developing young boys to play a game of football, not of futsal. And this was because I knew that when you teach young boys of that age that you just showed, they catch up very quickly. So I asked this guy, the good thing is that he played at high level in football before. He was one of our top strikers in the country. So I asked him, I said, look, his name is States Sogobolo. I said, look, States, can you help me? Can you bring your boys to the court and we can teach them how to play the game of futsal? Because what I did was I got the rules of how to play futsal. And luckily, again, for me, the guy who was teaching them it was not me who was directly involved with coaching. The guy who I asked to come and help me to coach was also a former national team player. And this guy had played in Botswana, he played in South Africa, he's played in Finland. So he agreed. He said, no, look, this is a very great idea. So he was the guy who was trying to impart this knowledge to that young group, which was brought by their coach. This was just trying to entice them to come and play the game of futsal. And as you could see, is that they were already grasping how futsal is played, the loss of the game. That you don't, once the ball goes out, you don't have to wait for a long time. You just have to put it back and then play, because there should be no rest and stuff like that. You no many touches on the ball, just one touch, and they were trying. So the only bad side again to that was that I was not able to occupy. That was during the time when I was just about to be called back to the Football Association. So I abandoned everything, and everything I think fell apart. I think had I stayed with the game of futsal since because that was in 2015, I think. and that game was played in 2015. Had I stayed from 2015 up to now, I think I could be saying now I have a very strong team that could play a very good game of futsal. And my intention now, Jeff, is that I want to take that court to one of the secondary school, the junior secondary schools, where I can say, look, you can use this court, but when you play in this court, these are the conditions that you should follow. Some of your students should be playing the game of futsal. They can use it for other sports because that's a multi-purpose court. They can use it for other sports like basketball, netball, but the game of futsal would take precedence over everything.
I would like you to hold your hand right there, Thabo, as we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
Because I want to hear more to your plans for futsal in Botswana, your future plans for futsal in Botswana.
Yeah.
As I take a break and drink from my customized Futsal868 water bottle, we'll get yours as well. So we'll be right back. We're watching Futsal868 Corner Talks. I'm your host, Geoffrey Edwards, and I have my brother from Botswana, Thabo. And Thabo, you still haven't given me pronounce your last name for me. So we'll be doing that right after the break. We can't go to Africa without having this.
Ntshinogang.
Uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami.
So Thabo, that song is a hit globally, and I'm sure that it is a hit in Botswana as well.
Yeah, Ntshinogang, my surname.
So tell me, so before we continue the conversation, please, for the sake of our listeners, our viewers, can you pronounce your last name and what does it mean in English, if there's an English translation?
Yeah, I'll start with what it means in the English translation. In the English translation, my surname means do not obstruct my view.
Says a lot. That says a lot.
It says a lot, yeah. So it's Ntshinogang. Ntshinogang. Ntshinogang.
Well,
Ntshinogang.
Thabo, when I visit you, we'll reach that. We'll get to that language. You'll teach me some more then. But now I'm learning Spanish, so we'll take it one step at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were speaking before the break. You were speaking as regards to your plans in getting futsal in the schools, and it's definitely similar to what we have been doing in Trinidad and Tobago through the Let's Play Futsal Caravan. And I'm very much happy to hear that is exactly what you all are doing, because as my dad will always say, it starts with the schools. It starts whereby we introducing a new sport, a new concept, a new idea, we have to start with the young ones. And I want to take the opportunity just to be able to showcase what we mean by that as regards to our strategic plan at the Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago, where we look at grassroots development, coaching, training or coaching education, female inclusivity, performance, and brand. So my question to you now, Thabo, is what is the strategic plan of stylistics sportainment when it comes to futsal?
The plan is, for me, like I mentioned, to get into the schools. I think if I can get many courts, probably maybe 5, and go to 3 or 5 regions and install the futsal courts there, so that most of these kids can get exposed to playing the game of futsal. Already I have got one court, which I'm going to negotiate with one of the schools to give me the space, because they don't have good grounds. I don't think they will refuse. And as I said, the condition was that in that game, then they should give me boys and girls who can play the game of futsal. I believe that once it catches up, then other schools maybe will want it around, but it will be that will need a massive kind of investment from somebody. But in the initial stages is that once I've installed it there, then maybe in 2 or 3 years, I should have other 5 schools having the sport court. And that is if I also get a kind of support from the Football Association to say, look, you are maybe too busy with other things, with developing referees, developing national teams of different ages, of different sexes. Maybe I could help you. I could come and help you and do something and run futsal on your own behalf. The good thing is that I've got an example in you, Jeff, whereby you have been given the rights to run the futsal section, and you call it Futsal Association. That is why I was amazed at one point when I asked you, why is it that there's a Futsal Association? Are you not related in anyhow to the Football Association? And you broke it down for me to say, no, I am doing this on behalf of the Football Association. But once I get that support, I believe that it's the same support that we have. I believe that I'll be able to develop the game of futsal to the level that we want and to the level that FIFA wants.
Let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Let's just say the government of Botswana, the Sport Council, and the Botswana Football Association does not respond to your stellar performance, your groundbreaking work, your entrepreneurial spirit, the amount of effort that you will put in to showing what futsal can do for the country. Let's just say they don't pay you any mind in the next 3 years. Yeah. What will be your reaction?
Well, the truth of the matter, Jeff, is that I'll definitely be disappointed, but it won't stop me, because I believe that if you love something, you should find other ways of trying to carry it forward. I believe that they cannot take that right for me as a citizen of this country and as a private entrepreneur to keep on doing what I do. Look, even football in its mainstream, you are allowed to have academies which are not necessarily run by the Football Association. So I think I'll take that route, whereby I would also set up my own futsal academies, whereby I can recruit my own children and they can play. Probably they will choose and see that this is the right way to go. This is the right institution where we should go to, because they are giving us care, they're giving us development and everything that we are not maybe getting from the other guys. So this is the spirit that I'm saying I'll try to continue with this kind of spirit, to say if they don't assist me, and I'm going to be knocking at their doors. I'm going to be knocking again at the doors of the Football Association, and I'm going to be knocking at the doors of the Ministry of Sport, and say, look, this is what I'm trying to do. And it's not only for my own benefit, but it's also for the benefit of the young ones who probably would not want to play 11 aside for the rest of their lives. Remember that futsal also has got its own competitions, just like beach soccer. So probably it's a niche. Probably we can do better even in competitions. Once we get the right things, we get to do the right things. Probably we can even compete with the best in futsal around the world if we give it the right attention that it deserves.
Thabo, I got goosebumps hearing you speak.
Yeah.
because some persons may say that was a reverse psychology of a question I posed at you.
Yeah.
And I may be agreeing with them because I really wanted to hear if your heart and soul was in it. Because many persons, when one door closes, they keep that door closed by not
Yeah.
even looking around to see if there's a window or another door open for them.
Yeah.
In having conversations with many guests, including last week where we had Steve Bistoquet from Guadeloupe,
Mm.
where many persons call him a madman. But the amount of work that Steve has done and accomplished, even to the point whereby the Football Association Federation in Guadeloupe, they themselves don't even understand how he gets it done. And
Yeah.
to hear that you are willing to continue, I just want to openly say, rest assured that we at Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Futsal868, would do all that we can do, brother, to be able to make sure that you continue to grow and develop. And that's the amazing thing about futsal in speaking to global guests is
Yeah.
that everyone is willing to support the sustained growth and development of the sport. And that is
Yeah.
amazing, just to say the least.
Mm.
And we definitely will wish that you continue to grow. So, moving on
Yeah.
with our conversation, Thabo,
Yeah.
is what is the dynamics as regards to boys and girls, or more so girls' involvement in the sport of futsal? And I know that you were speaking as regards to young persons, but can you also tell us some more as regards to the adults playing futsal? And how are you going to be able to speak to these two demographics,
Yeah.
females in the sport of futsal, as well as all the older folks in terms of both men and women?
Yeah. If you watched that video again, I think it is one of the videos that I referred you to watch. You realize that there was a girl in playing with the boys.
Yes,
She was
yes,
the only girl. She was the
yes.
only girl playing with the boys. Those are the girls that inspire me. I would say you start with them to say, look, those who are interested, you don't close doors for them. You just have to encourage them to say, look, this is a game that can also be played by by girls and ladies, and we are trying to close this gap because the whole world is moving to that direction, where you close a gap of saying sport can only be played. This particular sport can only be played by men. I'll give you an example right now. Our national football uh, women's team has been doing very well as compared to the men, and going to other levels, beating teams like South Africa. South Africa has been to the World Cup, eliminating South Africa in a tournament which organized by CAF. And this is something that you see. You If you deny other people to compete, you also end up denying yourself the opportunity to be gaining recognition, to be winning medals at a certain level. So it will be open for ladies. As for the elderly, they can play it for recreation. There's only one picture that I didn't send you when we were playing for the when when we when we started this game of futsal. I started with the elderly guys who had played football before, and I said, look, I also gave them the rules of futsal. I say, you are not going to play like you are playing football, but these are the rules. They made a mess of themselves, but they enjoyed the game at the end. And this is kind of recreation that I will also encourage to say, if you play recreation, this sport as recreation, then it will also give you, because you get more exercise than when you are playing 11 aside. Remember what happens in 11 aside. You pass a long ball 40 yards, and then you wait for your other player to run up with the ball and then misses goal. And you keep on uh, uh, getting your air back and saying, no, I am relaxed. But in the game of futsal, we know that doesn't happen. The ball comes to you maybe every 20 seconds or every 10 seconds. You are involved in futsal. I think you know how it happens. So the elderly will also play it at a recreational level. And those who want to stay, after development also to compete. Like I say, we have to compete with other nations that have developed futsal. Those who want to stay will stay. And I think probably that will come after many years. But I think I would have set standards of where we should be going with the assistance of people who already know how the game of futsal is played, with the assistance of investors who can come in and say, no, look, we know what we see what you're doing, and we are willing to assist you to achieve your goals and your ambitions.
Tell us more as regards to coaching education, or even educating potential coaches or stakeholders, including athletes, as regards to rules and regulations of the sport. What is Stylistics Sportainment doing as regards to this component of your strategic plan?
Yeah, no, at the moment we haven't received anybody who is qualified enough to do the coaching. I think it's just reading the regulations, getting the regulations from sources, from the right sources, and giving them to those who are interested in playing the game of futsal. I was very happy when the Football Association, I think it was early this year, no, last year, it was last year, when they organized a course that was run by FIFA to give a basic futsal coaching course. And my intention is to get some of those coaches, because they most of them are lying just idle. They don't have anywhere to go and coach right now. I think I'll get some of those guys to come and help me to coach. In the meantime, once they need also development to move from to the next level, then I will have also to engage the Football Association, maybe to ask for support from FIFA so that they can also come and help us. But other than that, if the Football Association also doesn't help us, what it means is that I'll look outside. There's been somebody from Portugal who's been willing to say, look, I can come and help you to train your coaches and do that. But I know that will be quite a bit expensive than what is currently happening in with FIFA giving you coaches to come and coach, train the coaches.
As you say that, let's take a quick break, because I want to introduce you to what we are doing as well as regards to coaching education online. And definitely I'll be passing on this contact information to you, because what we recognize at Futsal868 is that given the pandemic, we do not know when we'll be back out, at least in Trinidad and Tobago, when we'll be back out playing. So what the team came up with is an online certificate for coaching education that will be done in partnership with an organization called Futsal Solutions, which is headed by the coach of the men's national team out of China. And we're very proud of that, because, as I said before, it allows us to still be able to educate the masses, but at the same time, it allows us to be able to keep moving even during this difficult time. So we'll be right back to be able to discuss more with Thabo. You're watching Futsal868 Corner Talks, episode 23. We in Botswana, people. We'll be right back. So, welcome back to Futsal868 Corner Talks. I'm your host, Geoffrey Edwards, President of the Futsal Association of Trinidad Tobago, and with me is my brother from Botswana, Thabo. And what you looked at during the break is our upcoming online certified futsal coaching course. If you want any further information, you can send us your request via our WhatsApp number. That is 1-868-78-SPORT, 1-868-787-7678, or drop us an email. Simple, futsaltt@gmail.com. And Thabo, even as regards to it, we are not only looking for Trinbagonians. So if it is, anybody across in Botswana who can deal with the time difference in terms of being online, feel free. But as you said, Thabo, we will definitely send that information to you because we believe that it's very important that the more persons who know about the game of futsal is the faster that the sport will grow in all jurisdictions. And it's very important that we keep the community growing so that all individuals can be able to continue to benefit. One of the questions I have to ask is, what are your neighbors? Because given the geographical location of Botswana being interior, southern, but interior Africa, what are your neighbors doing as regards the sport of futsal?
Well, I think the country that is trying to play the game of futsal, but is also not that pronounced. I think it's South Africa. I think in South Africa there are some small patches here and there of people. I mean, futsal teams. I haven't. The sad thing is that I haven't yet gotten in touch with anybody who is willing maybe to work with me in developing in the sport of futsal. I think if you go up north, you also get countries like Angola, who I think are better and are coming up with the game of futsal better than us in Southern Africa. So that is still a challenge as well. Because once, like you say, once we have the neighboring countries playing the game of futsal, then everybody would play the game of futsal. What we see, and what sometimes people confuse, is that the game of futsal is that there are some, and it's recreation, a five-a-side football. The guys play five-a-side. Most of the guys after work, they go and play five-a-side football. And even though it's still played at that level, it's not as competitive. It's not a competitive game. It's just recreational because all the guys who knock off from work late, they can go and play in the evening, maybe until late in the night. But that is not targeting the youth as we have indicated at the beginning of this interview.
Do you think that futsal would have a impact on the African continent in the next 5 years?
I believe so, because of the skills that the African players do have. I believe it can catch up very quickly. You see how they play football. It's amazing the skills that they have. I think we are similar in terms of style of play. The original African style of play is similar to that of guys in South America, because they've got quick feet. They move into space. They are tough. They can run. They've got that stamina. So I believe if we give it the much impetus that has been given to the mainstream football, I think it will catch up very quickly.
What is your vision if you were to have a talk with the Minister of Sports, a one-on-one talk and an unlimited budget, as well as with support from the BFA? What would you want to achieve and accomplish for futsal in Botswana?
What I would like to accomplish, Jeff, is, as I've stated, I want the Football Association to say, look, yes, we know they are capable of. I mean, the FIFA regulations gives them that authority to run all football activities in the country. But when there are other aspects where they cannot be able to do, I think they can delegate that authority to some people who can help them to say, look, we have this. We don't know anything about beach football, but is there anybody there who can raise up his hand and say, look, I can organize the game of beach football, and then we can play it? Because, like I said, you will never know. Maybe when you play beach football or you play futsal, maybe that's where your wins are going to come from. If you start winning, and we know that if you start maybe winning at futsal level, there's high likely that even at mainstream football, 11-a-side football, your performance is going to be better because players who maybe be quitting futsal to go and play football will have better skills than the guys who did not kick a futsal ball ever. So this is just my wish that maybe the government, as well as the Football Association, can delegate that authority to say, we've got an example like yourself, like Trinidad and Tobago, where Futsal Association is aside. Let us do it. Let us help you because now we will know that we will have narrowed the scope of people who will be playing the game of futsal. It will only be futsal and nothing else. Futsal for the young ones, futsal for the girls, and futsal for competition when we reach that level. So it's only if they listen to me, and I believe that I still have hope and that somebody will listen. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you need to keep hope because I'm sure that
Yeah.
I saw that Mr. Paul Decolo, the assistant head coach of the men's national futsal team, he's looking on, and somewhere in the distance must be
Yeah.
Mr. Constantine Constant, who has been a great mentor to me in terms of my
Yeah.
journey as a sport administrator and in this futsal journey as well. And he has
Yeah.
always mentioned the success stories of countries such as Solomon Islands and Iran,
Yeah.
who have made it to
Yeah.
futsal World Cups before they have made
Mm.
it to a football World Cup, and what it did for them, not only in terms
Mm.
of the footballing landscape, but the entire sporting industry and
Mm.
landscape in their respective countries. And that's just two out of many. For
Yeah.
us in Trinidad and Tobago, we are 3 victories away once all goes well in terms of qualification to the FIFA World Cup to be held in Lithuania next year. And that
Yeah.
says a lot. Compare that to any um, football qualifying campaign. We again, I'm going to repeat it. We are literally 3 victories away from for qualifying for World Cup, and that is amazing. And I just want to
Wow.
use that as an
That's
opportunity to
interesting.
continue to encourage you, Thabo, in terms of pushing it, because as you rightfully say, it can help build the country's spirit, especially during
Yeah.
a difficult time like this. So I definitely agree with you. So my second to last question to you is, what would be your vision for the continent of Africa through futsal?
Well, my vision for Africa is that we should all try to come together and promote the game of futsal. As I mentioned, like countries like Angola, we can copy from them if they are on the right track, and come together and share notes and say, look, this is how we have moved from where we are to from the past to where we are. And I think that will grow the game of the futsal quickly if we share notes. But if we keep it to ourselves, I don't see that. I don't see us developing to the level that we want to develop. If somebody like you from Trinidad and Tobago is willing to help, I believe my belief is that even those in Africa should do the same thing. We should come together and talk about the game of futsal. And my vision is, I know that FIFA also gives that authority to the Football Association. And I think at one point, because they also want to grow the game of futsal, is it within their mandate, within their vision, that they should grow the game of futsal and the game of beach football. I don't see it wrong if I can now not dictate per se, but just to encourage football associations to say, look, if you are not able to do this, is there anybody interested within the country who can do it on my behalf? And then FIFA maybe can start dealing with
You are quite
that association directly.
you are
Yeah,
quite correct, and it's
yeah,
something that we definitely will have to corner our fellow FIFA alumni Kazra and have a
yeah,
conversation with him, because I
exactly.
understand that by FIFA making the stance of the mandatory financial contribution to the development of the women's game, it has assisted the women's
Yeah,
game to grow. And
yeah,
given that futsal and beach soccer are two variants now under the auspices as well as the control of the FIFA, it should be also some way mandatory in some form or fashion that the governing bodies, the member associations, assist with the development, the sustained development of the sport, those sports, those variants in each of the
yeah,
countries. So I'm in totally agreement with the point that you just made. That is very important. And just to make sure that we have this taped, I am definitely going to be sending you. I'm sending this now to you. The
yeah.
contact for the gentleman from Futsal Solutions, because I want to make it quite clear to our viewers,
Okay.
this is not just talk. This is us as two entities, two organizations, separated by a body of water, but still brothers in arms. That we are
Mm.
definitely here to assist. So the number has been sent, Thabo, and definitely please get in contact with him as regards to seeing how best he can assist in the continued work that you're doing.
Mm. I really appreciate that, Jeff, and I appreciate also the assistance that you've given me. And I don't know whether I should share some of the things that you have assisted me with. Uh, maybe it was just between me and you, but yes, you have assisted
You
me.
could go ahead. You could go ahead.
You you have shown me your strategic plan of where you are, and I think that is very important for me and for you, because you are not keeping the info. This is the kind of information that I was referring to. Say, if we are in Africa together, we should share notes and say, look, this is how I was successful in my area, and this are maybe the loopholes that you should avoid. I, and look, you are in Trinidad and Tobago, and you gave me that information free of charge. You didn't charge me anything, because you just saw the love that I have for the game of futsal, and you say, look, can you try this? Can you try this strategy? And continuing to give me such kind of other solutions, it really clearly shows that you are committed to developing the game of football, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but worldwide, because who knows the impact that the information that you are giving me can have big impact the whole world over. So I'm thankful, Jeff. I'm very thankful for that.
You're welcome, Thabo. And to hear you say that, I just take the opportunity
Yeah,
to wish my mother, the matriarch of the Edwards family at this point in time, uh,
yeah,
a beautiful and happy birthday to her. It is because of her that I am who I am, Thabo. Well, I can't
wow,
forget my dad as well, and my
exactly.
grandparents who have been influential
Yeah,
and who have
yeah,
shaped. But I must give a great shout out to my mother who celebrates
yeah,
66 years on this earth and still going
yeah.
strong. So,
Wow.
mother,
Pass my
happy
regards. Pass my regards to your mother and say happy birthday to her. She's
definitely
got tell her she's got a very great son there.
appreciate it. Thabo, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thabo, tell
All
us,
right.
give us your closing remarks as regards to all things futsal and what you really would like, if you had a few wishes to talk to God about. Give us your closing remarks.
Well, for me, like I said, I want to see futsal growing. And we didn't during the interview, we also didn't have we didn't discuss what we don't have and what we have. For instance, there's nothing. There's literally nothing except for the court that you saw here. I think it's only the coaches also that were trained by football last year that are there. But when it concerns equipment, we don't have equipment. I wish we could have equipment that could play football. I mean futsal. I also want to pass my regards to Andred, who gave me 3 futsal balls when he came here. He was working for the Junior Olympics when we organized Junior Olympics in Botswana. And I reached out to him and I said, Gabriel Andred, I think you know him. I think he's been on the show before. I said, Gab, I'm trying to find futsal balls. Can you please help me to get the balls? So he did help me. He brought them when he came to Botswana. Gabe brought 3 futsal balls. And we know that futsal balls don't have the same bounce as our natural footballs that we used to play, the game of soccer or the game of football. So I was very grateful for that. So you see, I'm getting help from all corners of the world, including yourself and including Gabe who assisted me to start this. So I would very much like us to have equipment that can assist us. And there's one guy, a Botswana guy who is, I think is in Japan. Yes, he's in Japan. He has also promised that he would help me with a donation maybe of futsal. Once we get serious, we get cracking on this thing. So I can only say if we have such kind of equipment, then the game also will grow. Yeah.
Thabo, it has been a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much for staying up. What time is it right now in Botswana?
It's 18 minutes past 11.
Oh boy.
Just an hour, just maybe 45 minutes before midnight.
So I just want to explain to persons that is the love that is there. The gentleman stayed up so late, he making noise in the house.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you very much, Thabo, for being with us.
They were quite surprised when I told them that I was going in an interview. They said, "This time?" I said, "Yes, I'm going in an interview."
So I want to say thank you very much, Thabo, and to your family, God's richest blessings. And I ask that God will protect you and yours, even in these difficult times, that the virus does not reach, the steps of your home, and protect your family. As with all things, even with the days of Moses, the angel of death had to fly past once the blood was on the posts, and we ask that the blood will be on your doorposts, protecting you and yours during these times, as well as we know that the financial situation is also global, and we pray that doors and windows and his blessings will continue to pour out to you and yours. So once again, Thabo, thank you very much for being a part of the show. You definitely,
thank you very much.
I definitely look forward to having a follow-up so that we can be able to discuss more things for futsal and to see how things develop in Botswana when it comes to this sport.
Yeah, and I look forward to receiving you one of these days after maybe this pandemic has passed. Maybe then you'll have an opportunity to come here and also show us the way to go, the way around futsal. I'll be very great to welcome to the shores of Botswana.
Thank you very much, Thabo. And trust and believe, we are going to take it up. As a matter of fact, our proposed travel list is getting more and more, but definitely we're going to take it up and come across to Botswana and be a part of your futsal family. So once again, thanks very much, and do have a great one.
You too, Jeff. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this show. Thank you, my brother.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right.
So, folks, that was Thabo. I cannot pronounce his last name, so don't even ask me. So don't do that. But my brother from Botswana, episode 23 has come to an end. But before we go, there are two things that we have to make sure that we remind you all of. most importantly for us as a national sporting organization is to understand our role, noting that sports reflects society. And with all that being said, we, Futsal868, stands against racism. Additionally, we know that you always see it all over the place. You always hear it ever so often. But as always, it's our duty to be able to remind you of what it means to what the measures you need to take to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Five basic steps, 5 players. It's all about five, but 5 steps that can be able to protect your life and protect the lives of others. So I want to say on behalf of the Futsal Association of Trinidad Tobago, my name is Geoffrey Edwards, host, moderator, and president of the Futsal Association of Trinidad Tobago, wishing each one of you all a great week ahead, and see you all next week, Sunday, as we head to China this time, and we meet up with Sergio, who speaks to us as regards to our upcoming Futsal868 Corner Talks, Futsal868 by Futsal Solutions, certified online coaching education series. Thank you very much, and do have a great day. Bye-bye.